McGraw-Hill Audio presents Sun Tzu Strategies for Selling: How to Use the Art of War to Build Lifelong Customer Relationships. Written by Gerald A. Michaelson with Stephen W. Michaelson. Read by Barrett, Whitener. Part 1. Personal Strength Wisdom. Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War on bamboo strips about 500 BC. This classic of Eastern military strategy focuses on winning without fighting. In contrast, much of Western strategy focuses on fighting big battles as the way to win. Although the timeless wisdom of the underlying strategies of selling has not changed, the tactical execution has changed. The new relationships. The business world is shifting from dealing with the conflict that can exist between the interests of buyer and seller to seeking a continual consensus. This consensus is most visible in business-to-business relationships in the form of partnership agreements in which both organizations share resources focused on a common goal. In direct-to-customer relationships, this search for buying consensus can be seen in brand loyalty programs and levels of quality that delight customers. Many sales professionals are transitioning from soliciting business from many potential customers to a new role of managing and facilitating strong relationships with a select group of existing customers. In all selling situations, the emphasis is on building and maintaining a long-term relationship. It's not that you don't want customers to look elsewhere to buy. It's that you want the total relationship with the customer to be so strong, customers do not even think of looking elsewhere to buy. The key issue is not how to make the sale. Rather, it is establishing a relationship that builds repeat business. To state the issue simply, the sales process is the lifelong relationship with the customer. Teamwork. In the new world of global competition, the salesperson's strength alone is not enough. What wins is the power of the team focused on the customer. The sales professional's role is as a member or leader of a sales team focused on the customer. Your strength is greatest when the forces of your team are marshaled to win sales. Teamwork in sales, as in sports, is the sum of individual efforts working toward a common goal. Just as some ball players do better in certain positions, so it is with business teams. Applying the football metaphor to business, appropriate designations for team members could be coach, quarterback, center, and receiver. Your ever-changing role. As team members, we need to have the skills to adapt to different roles. Every sales opportunity is different, and every sales opportunity requires us to use our skills in different ways. In the 1990s, a famous football player, Deion Sanders, had skills in a variety of positions. Sanders returned punts, played cornerback on defense, and was sometimes an offensive receiver. His underlying strength in every position was speed. When playing different positions, Sanders utilized his skills in a different manner. On offense, he used his speed to run his pre-assigned pattern and break away from the coverage. On defense, Sanders used speed to break for a tackling opportunity at a moment of his own choosing. Likewise, if we are continually selling the same way and not changing, we are not keeping up with the competitive world. If we do not present new ideas and concepts to our customers, our competitors will offer those new ideas. The only way we can stay in first place is to keep changing. Here are several examples of how the sales role is changing, and these changing scenarios are being repeated in many business relationships. Manufacturers are drastically reducing the number of suppliers. This means that a lot of salespeople are losing customers. If you are not on the preferred supplier list, you are on the outside looking in. Suppliers who survive the cut have found that an entirely new relationship style is needed to mobilize their corporate resources to serve the customer. As Walmart's business grew, Procter & Gamble reorganized its entire sales structure serving this customer. Years ago, a handful of salespeople traveled to Walmart headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas. Today, a large cadre of P&G people live near Bentonville in order to provide the best possible service to Walmart. In the emerging new sales paradigm, the emphasis is on teams that nurture long-term relationships with customers. The biggest difficulty in understanding the new sales paradigm is that the old paradigm of one-on-one selling still works in some circumstances. When a change occurs in a business paradigm, it doesn't mean that the new paradigm is entirely new. What is true about the paradigm has always been true. It's just that a significant number of people have begun to understand that a new methodology works better. To say that teams are a better way to sell or that long-term relationships are important doesn't mean that the fundamentals of selling have changed. New paradigm selling simply recognizes the situational importance of people working as a team to develop a long-term service relationship with a customer. This situation is much like the change in style for winning the high jump. The scissors and the roll have long been superseded by the Fosbury flop. The old method still works, but it does not win competitive championships. To better understand how to implement new paradigm selling, start with your biggest customer and think about what you would do if this were your only customer. Have a team conference on the subject, write a plan, and implement it. Then proceed to the next biggest customer and the next. You will find that what you must do to marry one customer is similar for all customers. This active process can be quite different from what you are doing today to serve these customers. Going through this exercise will do much to increase your understanding of your changing role. The quality of your professional role. The coin of quality has two sides. One side is the quality built into the product or service. The other side is the quality of the sales experience as perceived by the customer. Too often, we think only of the first dimension of quality, that which is intrinsic to the product or service itself. This leads to thinking that quality is the responsibility of someone else in the organization. The customer's perception of quality is the responsibility of the sales professional. This responsibility includes everything we do in our relationship with the customer, as well as efforts to improve the performance quality of the product or service we sell. As the person most frequently in contact with the customer, the salesperson has the responsibility of acting as a data conduit from and to the customer. Our credibility with information receivers gets tarnished when we transmit only opinions. What counts are data. In some cases, it may be prudent to present statistical charts of how the product or process is performing. In other cases, it may be helpful to present data in an organized manner. In the military, headquarters has a problem with field reports that describe heavy shelling or intense fire because these terms have a different meaning for different people. A similar problem exists in business when field reports are too general, such as those indicating problems with late deliveries or too many back orders. To get better results for our customers, data must be quantified by stating, for example, how many times the delivery was late and by how many days. Collect the data over a period of time, at least 30 days. Data are useful not only within our own organization, but also in discussions with the customer. Consider this case. The salesperson was about to lose the customer because the product wasn't performing to specification. Our sales professional convened his associates, collected the data on the product performance, and presented them to the customer. The data proved that the customer was correct. The product wasn't performing to specification. The customer was so impressed with this frank admission and accurate presentation of the problem, he agreed to work with the supplier to improve performance. Think about the improved perception of personal integrity that must have accompanied this interchange. The customer wants performance, and that means no excuses now or in the future. Excuses are best avoided by creating circumstances that reduce the possibility of failure. It has been well said, there are only two types of situations, those where you have a good excuse for not doing it right, and those where it is done right. Plan on giving no excuses. The performance of the entire relationship is how the customer rates the quality of his or her experience. This total overview is a vital dimension of quality. Think about it. You do not return to restaurants if either the food or service is awful. Poor performance in either one will keep you from coming back. So it is in selling. Poor service performance can cancel the value of an excellent product. An excellent service seldom rescues a poor product. To achieve the highest level of quality for customers, you must have quality relationships within your organization. This requires the following type of relationship thinking. Internal customers. Everyone delivers a product or service to someone else. That someone else is a customer. Involvement. Everyone is involved in quality because everyone has a contribution to make. Teamwork. Input is sought from teams, and contributions are made by teams. Individualism is out, teamwork is in. The more you understand about how quality is achieved, the better you are able to sell your product or service in meaningful terms to the customer. Your personal level of service quality is important because a major cause of customer dissatisfaction is with the processes associated with the sale and delivery of the product. Quality service in sales is everything we do that touches the customer. It's the way we answer the phone. It's the depth of knowledge we have of our product or service, customer, market, industry, and the world. It's keeping the promises we make. It's doing our homework and being prepared. It's being on time, it's being thorough, it's being of service, it's the entire professionalism of our conduct. We are the primary producers of the service quality of our own sales process. If we are not continually working on improving sales quality, then sales quality is deteriorating. Continuous improvement in everything we do is the price for getting and keeping a reputation for quality. Sales quality starts with finding out what the customer wants. What the customer wants keeps changing. The road to sales quality has no end. Quite simply, quality is whatever the customer says it is. Your strength. Your personal strength is much like that of a building. First, we must rise from a solid foundation of who we are, what we know, and our beliefs and values. The second element of strength of any structure is a solid framework. Your self-knowledge and self-direction are the framework that determines your strength. Chapter 1. Meet the Enemy. Pogo, the cartoon strip philosopher, declared to his friend Albert the alligator, "We have met the enemy and he is us." Sun Tzu probably had too large an ego to make this kind of statement, but Pogo had it right. Our first and most important battle is with ourselves. Knowing that too often the enemy is us helps in understanding the most important component for success. To make sure that you are not the enemy of your own success, seek counsel from someone who is interested in your success, but not directly involved in the planning or execution of the process. We are blind to our weaknesses and condemned to repeat our errors unless we seek outside advice that will clearly point out where we are fighting ourselves. Beware of the tendency to hear only what we want to hear and to use that information to stroke our convictions. This process can become a never-ending spiral. It has been wisely said that when a person becomes centered on himself or herself, any risk is too great because either success or failure will destroy him or her. In military and business, organizations that do the best have the best leadership. When I asked my sales organization what branch stores in a specific chain were the best, it readily identified the best stores. When I asked what made these stores outstanding, all readily volunteered that the branch manager made the difference. When I asked what made the difference between a good and poor-performing sales territory, they got the message. What makes the difference is us. Be as critical of yourself as you are of others. When you have truly met the enemy, go to the head of the class. Your success is a product of you. It's very important that you like yourself and what you do each day. Be committed to your faith, your family, and your company, in that order. Develop good habits. Vince Lombardi is held in esteem as a winning professional football coach and as a fine individual. During Lombardi's tenure as a football coach for the Green Bay Packers, he lost only one postseason game, the first one. Then he coached the team to 9 playoff victories in a row. Because he fined his players heavily for being late to meetings, players arrived on time. Lombardi time came to be understood as arriving early for an appointment. A great idea for every sales professional. Here are a few other Lombardi principles to consider. Be both industrious and meticulous in your analysis. Take notes, organize, and file. Visual education is much better than just talking to people. Make no little plans, make big plans. If you don't strive to innovate, someone will come up with something better. The reach should always exceed the grasp. Admit it when you make a mistake. Battles are won primarily in the hearts of men and women. Success is 75% mental. Be willing to take a chance. Throw the ball. The measure of a person is how he or she meets failure. If you could have won, you should have won. Timeless wisdom. Each business professional who is selling anything determines the acceptance of a service product called me. Aim for world-class goals. You and your customers deserve the best. Be the very best. Chapter 2. Knowledge leads to victory. Knowledgeable preparation is everything. Successful selling requires a lifetime of learning about your customers, products, services, industry, and the art and science of making sales. The required knowledge extends to every area of our being and our business universe. Every man and woman is accountable for adequate knowledge of the components that affect his or her success or failure. Self-knowledge. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Although it is important to recognize and improve weaknesses, the best investments are in reinforcing our strengths. Getting better at what you do best brings the best results. It has been well said that it is not that history repeats itself, but rather that the errors of history repeat themselves. Avoid the trap of repeating the same mistakes. Understanding yourself is one of the basic components of personality profile systems like the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI. Self-knowledge can be very useful in determining how to communicate with your customer. Personality profiles help us understand our own personality preferences. The more we know about our own preferences, the easier it is to understand the personality preferences of others. Greater self-knowledge can help you correctly read your customer and adapt to his or her personality. For example, MBTI states that people have a preference for either thinking or feeling when making decisions. Thinkers tend to decide using logic. Feelers decide based on emotion. Although most of us employ both logic and emotion in the decision-making process, each of us has a preference for one style or the other. On a deeper level, some thinkers have a sensing preference. That is, they prefer a list of accurate facts. Other thinkers have an intuitive preference. That is, they want an overview of options so they can determine how to use the product or service. If unaware of different decision-making preferences, we assume that everyone makes decisions the same way we do. Understanding that different decision-making preferences exist makes us more aware of the need to observe our customer's preference. Obviously, a presentation loaded with logic can be lost on a customer who tends to decide based on emotion. Business knowledge. The People's Republic of China Army regulations state, "Every commander must organize reconnaissance within his unit's zone of activities." Your goal is to know more than anyone else about your industry and area of responsibility. This knowledge starts with reading trade publications and news sources and continues through every source of input. The search is always for new opportunities. Knowing is not enough. Where your product or service is sold by sales organizations, you must train these people. The best training is interactive. In sales meetings, use questions to elicit information. One of my favorite sessions is when the leader simply identifies a product or service and asks, "What are the important things to sell?" When a participant responds with a feature, ask about the benefit. Continue asking until the group runs out of responses, and you will find that you have a few more benefits to add. Everyone learns, including the meeting leader, who gets new features and benefits to use in his or her next meeting. Attention level is high because people are actively participating. When your customers are business executives, think about training programs that can help them be more successful. Bring a group together to meet with experts in various management areas such as information systems, accounting, taxes, human resources management, and recruiting. Knowing how to hire and grow good people is the key ingredient to the success of any business. The best organizations have the best people. Providing this professional knowledge is a service that will make you a more valuable resource to your customers. Equally important, the knowledge you gain from these sessions will be useful to you in your career growth. Customer knowledge. The successful sale is made before meeting the customer, not when meeting the customer. Customer knowledge is one of the sciences of selling. Doing the required research is a hallmark of the sales professional. The required research extends beyond general business knowledge to specific knowledge of your customers and their businesses. Think about thinking like a customer. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Although recognizing the need for customer knowledge is not new, the phrase customer relationship management, CRM, is new in sales and marketing. It emphasizes the importance of personal knowledge of your customers and relating with them on the basis of that knowledge. You can never know enough about your customer. Take notes after each meeting. Keep a file and review it regularly. Downstream in many sales channels are several customers, all of whom must be satisfied. We need some level of knowledge about why these customers buy. In business-to-business selling, you win when you know more about why your customers' customers buy than your customer does. Timeless wisdom. Know yourself, your industry, and your customers, and your business will never be endangered. Chapter 3. Be professional. The professional has it in his or her power to control success because he or she understands and applies a body of scientific knowledge. It has been well said that selling is a trade for the ignorant and a science for the professional. The word sell is derived from the Icelandic word selja and the Anglo-Saxon word sillen, meaning to give or to serve. Selling is focusing on serving customers in the finest way possible. Those who serve best win. When interviewing a potential salesperson, one of the questions I ask is, What are the last 5 books you have read? I am not looking for specific titles, but rather for a type of book. I want people who are reading books on self-improvement, the sales profession, or their industry. I want to hire people who are good and who are investing time in getting better. I learned about asking about the last 5 books read when reading how Admiral Hyman Rickover interviewed recruits for his nuclear submarine program. The response can reveal interesting personal qualities. One summer morning, I interviewed an aspiring sales recruit dressed in sartorial splendor. He wore a brown and yellow checked suit with a matching brown tie and yellow shirt. When I asked how he learned how to sell, he responded brightly, "Mr. Michaelson, I am a naturally born salesman." Right then and there, he lost. I believe that we are all naturally born, and that's all. Some people may have more talent in the arts. However, professional skills are honed through study and practice. People who think that their sales skills are naturally born will not focus on self-improvement. Their personal growth will be stalled. If you could read a book a day, you could never read all the books written on the profession of selling. Not having time to read is not an excuse. Much of today's selling information can also be acquired through audio and video means. As a sales manager, I provided my salespeople with recordings of sales presentations. By learning during a time period that would have been downtime, we upgraded our professional skills. Not taking the time to learn how to get better is much like the woodcutter who said he was so busy chopping wood he did not have time to sharpen his axe. Take time to get better. Have a plan to sharpen your professional edge. The art and science of the professional. Generals say that war is an art served by many sciences. Similarly, we can say that selling is an art served by many sciences. As an art, excellence in the sales profession requires practice and more practice. As a science, excellence in the sales profession requires the constant study of a body of knowledge in order to continuously improve. Selling is not the hard science associated with physical laws in which actions consistently produce the same reactions. Rather, it is the soft science associated with psychological and social laws in which prescribed actions increase the probability of certain reactions. For example, the basic process of the soft science of selling can be derived from the acronym AIDA. That is, the first step is to get the customer's attention. Next, build interest in what you were selling. Then develop the desire to own. And the final action step is getting the order. The professional understands the importance of taking no chances with the controllable elements of the sale, such as being on time, because there are so many uncontrollable elements. The professional understands the psychology of the selling situation and takes care of the little things that make a difference. Professionals know when to make the choice between getting ready, preparation, and getting going, action. They know that the greatest odds for success lie on the side of action. When we do something, we tend to become master of the situation. Set high standards. Standards are conditions we set for performance. For Sun Tzu, standards would flow from his admonition, "Adhere to the laws and regulations." Set high standards for your own performance and have high expectations of those with whom you work. The higher the goal, the greater will be the achievement. When we plan for low levels of performance, that's what we get. Set high standards and achieve more. Consider surveying your customers about your performance. Their opinion is the only one that really matters. You will get the most honest answers if the survey is done by an independent agency that guarantees not to reveal the origin of the responses. A good survey technique is to have the customer respond concerning a questionnaire about the performance of all the people who called on the organization. High business standards. Simple standards for meeting clients can be a firm handshake and a look in the eye. Presentation standards can be guidelines for meeting site preparation.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?